How many of you have done any work with the GRO before? Okay. So you can teach me, huh?
We'll help you.
So it's a very powerful index. And it's actually so that, England wants to sell you the documents that it indexes. But because they gave us the mother's maiden name, we can get a lot of data out of it without having to pay anything. Otherwise, I think it's like somewhere around at least 12 pounds or something which might be 25 bucks to get a certificate. And so anyway,
You can get a PDF a little bit cheaper, £7.
7 pounds.
They'll email you the PDF. You gotta remember to look at your email. Always forget.
All right. Anyway, but it's an interesting index because maybe just to start with, what happened around, so it starts out, they start indexing births, deaths, and marriages in 1837. What happened in the church close to that time?
Kirtland Temple.
Pardon?
Is that the Kirtland Temple?
It happened in the Kirtland Temple.
Elijah.
Elijah came in 1836. And England. So I feel that the spirit of Elijah went right there. And I think these English people have, they want to get their work done, so. So it's a real powerful index. So let's, how many have logged in, have got to log in for? Okay, so do we need to spend much time to do that, or?
Log into the GRO
To
itself.
log into the GRO, you have to generate a password. And that's the biggest thing that hangs people up. So I've got I put a red arrow. That's where we log into is gro.gov. And you go, depending on how you hit it with Google, you get to this page eventually, but you want to go to order online certificates. And we're going to look in the index. And that's what we're going to use is that. So does and if you have any questions, just, with small group, we can talk about them. So you go to you hit the order online index. It's not going on. Okay. And then you come to this page. This is where you have to have your login and a password.
So the people get scared when they see the Visa logo.
Well, yeah, you don't have to give them a card or anything until you buy something, they at least it probably eventually changes. I know lately I've had a little bit of trouble they require you to have a password that fits a certain criteria, 30 lines long or something, Anyway. But once you get to that page, then you come here and we're going to search the GRO indexes. Here we are with our red. And you come to this. Now, with this index, we're going to talk about birth, but you can do the death. Death's a little harder to use because you have to know how long they lived. So, to get to be real useful. But we're going to talk about finding babies, and the death might be useful there because you're looking for a baby that's within 3 years old or something like that. So you would just click. So we click birth, and then you put in a date. Where you're an approximation, but it'll give you plus or minus 2 years, depending on what you put in. So here I put in 1837. I'm going to find one of my 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 relatives that. And so then we need to put in the surname. And. Oh, so you can, these are the options you've got. You've got the surname. You can put the forename, the second name. You have to put in the gender, and you can put in the mother's maiden name. If you know the mother's maiden name, it's real powerful. But we can also get the mother's maiden name. So I'll show you how to do those searches. And the district where they were born. And that's all. I'm going to give you a tool to find that district so that you can estimate where they came from. And then that limits your, if you're looking at all of England versus say Sussex, then it really trims you down. And so we'll talk about how to find that district. Then, so here's one I put together. So that I put in 1837 plus or minus 2 years, a ransom, a male, and I knew the Battle, he was born, I think, in Bexhill, and so Battle is the registration district. And I got two hits. I got George and Trayton, and it happens to be Trayton was the one I was looking for. And see, so there you can see the mother's maiden name that came with it. And so if you didn't know the mother's maiden name, why is that so powerful? Pardon?
You can find her dad.
Okay, what else can you find?
The rest of the siblings.
The rest of the siblings, yeah.
No.
We're going to look at that. And there's one other thing that you can do. Now you know who they married, right? Because you can you can make a marriage certificate once you know the maiden name. Because then you we won't go into the marriage one, but this same index feeds that whole system. So that's why it's so powerful. Okay, so here's how, and I've got it on your handout. This should just follow your handout. So I want you to be able to go home and just repeat what we've done. So you want to open this up and use it. It's called Family Search put it together, and it's great for it. It takes care of all the parishes, registers, the counties, and in that map. So see, here you have a location you can put in. So say like I have a lot of people from Bexhill. I can type Bexhill in there. But my example was Wadsworth. Wadhurst. Okay, so it comes up and you'll notice that it tells me what that civil registration is. So this person we're looking for was born in that registration district. So they registered it. They had to register every birth and marriage. And so
you have to have that district in order to.
It's important to know that district. Eventually, you're going to have that district, or you will find it.
So like for instance, I found one that says D quarter in Catherington. It says D quarter.
Okay, D quarter. Okay. So, and this is where you'll get kind of hung up because it's a registration. So we're not finding a birth date, and people think that this is an absolute birth date. But they had 60 days, 90 days to turn in their registration. So they had the baby, they filled out the paperwork, and they send their money in. They had to buy a name, basically. And so that could happen anytime within 30 days, or I mean 90 days. And that puts it in a quarter. And so everything is put in a different quarter. So you can be 9 months off on the date. And people try to make it an absolute day. I just put in the year and keep track of it that way. It's because it's gonna be within that year. It's just sometimes though, if you have somebody that was born in April and you're working with somebody that you have a lot of names, like a Jones or a something like that, then you maybe want to use that date a little bit closer. Because you wouldn't want to choose the Jones that was born in December if you thought they were born in March. That you have to kind of use some logic like that. But anyway, so then you click on the Wadsworth and you have this little pop-up comes up. And I always like to choose you can see like this one is, you can list all the parishes that are in that district. And then you can also click it on the civil registration district. And you can see these are all the parishes that are there. And then you can choose, say, one of the parishes, and you can do a search and see. We like to, people particularly in the 1850s didn't go very far. And so you kind of draw a circle and you get 5 miles, 10 miles. You can say, okay, that's a chance that they married or they were born here. Because these parishes are pretty close to each other. Some of them are only a couple miles apart. So you can see right down here, they've kind of set it up. Stonegate and Ticehurst are within 2 or 3 miles of Wadsworth. So anyway, this gives you that an option to figure out what that the registration district is. So that's an important thing to have. You'll see a little bit of that later. So any questions so far?
When I put in the registration district that I got in the search, it just gives me a map of all of England. It didn't hone in on anything.
Did it find
Found the Catherington Civil Registration District, but it didn't hone in on it.
Well, click it.
With what? This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay.
Then it gives you all the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's set up to click on. Okay. So we're gonna use. So that's the quick and simple. The GRO. And it's just on how you use the lookup. But the good thing is that most of the big genealogical societies have incorporated it. But like the family search, you can look at the GRO up, and that's what we're going to start doing right here. But it doesn't give you the mother's maiden name. So.
Have you ever found that there was something you could find by going directly to the GRO index that you didn't find on Find My Past? I'm just wondering if they got everything. Have you ever found anything looking directly in the GRO?
Nobody's got everything.
And they've all done it a little bit differently, and they've done it with a computer. And so Ransom could be the A could be made into a U and the E could be added to the end and you'd be surprised on what some of the other names are. But it gives you a hint.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good question,
And they do give the mother's name.
but so this is how I do it. I'm gonna go look it up. Not in the GR, you have the GRO up, ready to go. Go to family search. And I'll show you how to, we're gonna do that right now, how to find it in family search. May not be in family search. And if it's not in family search, it's still, there may be a GRO on it. But we may have to go to Find My Past or Ancestry to find it. Just because the way the algorithms go, so. All right, so. This is the way, and when we get done, we're gonna have a GRO source. And I'm gonna show you how to put it into family search without much effort. So when you're done, we'll have a good source. All right, so here I'm using Alfred John Wright. He's a relative. And so you go to what they call the detail page. That's where so you're in family search. When you open up this page, it's called a detail page. And we're going to go do search. And here's all the other sources that you can go to look things up. We're going to choose family search. We choose family search, and then family search has you can enhance the search on this side here. You can add information. So you might have some more information that family search didn't put in it, or you got it from Ancestry or something like that to bring the data up better. And then you can also do these, and these are the collections. Are you familiar with the collections that the family search has? These are all the microfilms and everything that family search has done. So we're going to click on that and see what that collection is. And we'll go over here, and so you go up here and you go, I think the collection's going to be something England, right? Or you could type in the whole thing if you knew what that was. If you said, oh, I've got Bexhill County or Bexhill Parish marriage records 1892, I could type that in, and if that record is there, it would pop up. So we click, and then I mark that we're looking for, this is the England registration, basically the GRO. And we go down here, and you have a blue box, and you go, we want to access that. So here we are, and it came up. Now look at the list. These are all people that have a birth registration that have that name. But it's better than looking at 200 names, right? We think that it's this guy in Bethnal Green. So we go there and we bring him up. There's his, so there's the source. So they've copied it all out, but there isn't the mother's maiden name.
Oh,
But
so that's why we needed to go.
yeah, we'll still need to go back. But so we're going to attach it to the tree. So we're building a source right now. This is the guy we want to add him to a family search. We're going to attach him. So that's what that box means, attach him to the tree.
Well, you mean the source to the tree, because he was already in the tree, right? It just-
Not necessarily, he wouldn't have been, he's not in the tree, he's in the search area. But not, he wasn't in family search. I mean, he is because I put him in there, but just,
Where were you showing on the details page before?
oh, this is in the record. He's not in family search. We went to the record that the church. We went to the GRO and pulled that name out. And
No,
now we're going to bring it over and attach it we're attaching it to family search.
And you showed us the details page of him in family search a couple of slides back.
Yeah, because I had to kind of add him already.
Oh,
Normally, but see, I tried to, I tried to get him as raw as I could.
okay, I understand.
Yeah, so anyway, that's where, we're taking that name out of the GRO and we're putting it into family search. Now, that's what I'm trying to show here.
Okay.
So he could be in family search, may not, but we're going to add that anyway. So that brings us to and then, okay, well, this is where we were, right? And so we want to attach a tree. So you'll get something like this. This is called the source linker. And you've probably, I think most of you are experienced enough, you've done something like this, right? So we're going to click that button and we're going to attach that source. So this is what happens. We click it and it comes up and it wants us to put some data in right here. And what I wrote on your notes is that usually it's something that provides data for the name, birth. I always put birth registration date just because then they understand it's not an actual birth date that I dug out of, sometimes you'll on a parish register, they'll have put their birth date there, but then and then I like to copy. So you go back over to the GRO and see, I grabbed the GRO and copied it into that notes field. And then you have to add mother's maiden name. Because it's mother's maiden name, but it's written up, it's up above it. And so that just carries through. Then you never have to worry about it again. And it's made a nice source. And so this is what happens when you close it down. So that shows that it's been attached. So it's moved from family tree, or from the England registration now to family tree. And there's your full source. So you can see here all the information's in it. It's all put together. And because you put this in the notes down here from the GRO itself, you would be able to have the mother's maiden name along with it. So.
Now, can you go find the mother?
Sure.
All we have is last name.
Oh, yeah, I haven't found her yet. How would you find her?
To the GRO, but we don't know when she was born.
No. What, the only thing we know is what? And
But she's female.
and because she's female, she was married to somebody, right? So if you find a marriage record, you can estimate a birth date. Right? And so that's where, and off we are. That's another class.
You can always just search for her under her married name with her husband.
Oh, yeah.
Listed as a spouse, and you'll get census records that shows that child's birth. And,
Yeah. Yeah, so in the,
child, yes, that person.
yeah, we go find her in the 1911 census or something.
We'll find her.
It's,
How? We don't,
you look for, the husband.
we don't know her husband's name.
Yeah, it's,
We know his last name. So it's a right that married a
it's,
white.
it's,
It's a right
oh,
that married
yeah,
a white, but that's all we know.
yeah, but you'll have, I've done it a lot. You go back and just find the husband's name because the husband's name won't change. The wife's name changes.
Oh, so we have the husband's name?
Yeah, you'll get it because where would the husband's name be? You find a birth record. You know, you find a parish register, you find a census record.
Search for the child's name. Find it in the census
Yeah,
record.
or the child's name, so. It's,
But there was
yeah,
three.
pardon,
There was three.
there were three, yeah, so you go down each one, and this white may not be true. I've still gotta go back and work on it. I just put it on for, cause it worked for mine.
Okay,
Yeah, it's you. Sometimes we have to use inspiration. So anyway. Any questions up to now? Did you kind of, I hope that you can take this home and be able to go through it. Okay, so if you look on your, I thought we could do a couple of case studies just because it's and see how it might work. So the one thing I've really liked about the power of this is you can't, there's babies that are born and die. And generally they don't wait a census record to die. And so there's 10 years in between. And so how do we tell if somebody's got a baby that's missing? So that's what we're gonna, so if you look on here, the 1911 census is a real powerful census for one reason. It's got, if you look on that page, I've got a census record, it's blown up, it's on your, and you go over and you look at George, I think it's George Ransom. He's the head of the house. Said he's been married 36 years, had 16 kids alive. No, 6 kids were, total children born were 16. He has 6 children that are living, 10 children that are dead.
is that what that said? It was children who.
Yeah, so
Born, died.
so living with him, he's got like 5 or 6 right there. So half of the living kids are there, but there's
And one more comment, all of my family had left before 1911, but the 1900 US Census also asked the mother how many children and how many.
oh, does. So so anyway, there's some children there, right? And we don't know anything about them. See, that's what I was trying to show right here, that's the 6. So we have 10 kids that fall probably outside of a census record. So here's how I started to develop it. We go into the GRO 1888, which is about where they were having kids, and started doing that. You put in Ransom. This one is Jane.
How did you know to put in Jane?
let's see, how did I do that? Oh, was it from the census?
Oh, the last one.
Yeah, Jane.
Okay.
So we're finding Jane. And the reason we're doing that is to find out what the maiden name was, I think, to help. So anyway, so here we have Jane. So so our cycle works. So now we go back and take out Jane and then put Wilson in. See, so that's kind of your question you're asking. How do I find who's the mother's maiden name? So far, we got it, right? And then we go through all the series and we look for kids with Wilson as the mother's name, that they're living in Saint Savior, and that they're Ransom. You see there's some changes but they probably all work and so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids that show up that weren't in any census, or you might be able to find them in a parish register, but then to find out that then you have to figure out when they died, but you have to do that here anyway, but
So how many of those aren't on the census then?
none of these.
None of them are on the census?
No.
How come I didn't pull up Jane?
Oh, let's see, Jane didn't come up on this one.
She was on the census.
75,
I
70.
should've found it.
I may not have made it wide enough. See, there's 74, 75, 78, 77. Whoops.
Because with the GRO, you can only go 2 years in either direction. That's why you have to do a bunch of searches, because you can only search
Yeah, you're going to get,
like 4 years.
Well,
Yeah.
that's much more than 4 years.
This is
Isn't it?
I said that in 2 years, they go through all the men.
Let's-
You're right.
Let's see if did I give one of my, I gave all my notes away. It's not on there, is it? Yeah,
Okay.
Well, anyway.
4 years. It's only 4 years, 74 to 78.
Yeah, so some of those didn't work. That's the theory how you do it. You run through it, you found Wilson's name. I think these are the ones on the bottom are ones that are available, but I don't know why I chose that they are not part of the, sorry.
That worked. You got 6 kids, so.
Anyway, it does pose a problem when you're using these algorithms, when you have names like Wilson and.
Okay, so I have another question.
Okay,
It said, on the GRO, it said Elderberry Union. And I go to your map and type in Elderberry and I get 2 different Elderberries, one in Wiltshire and one in Surrey. So how do I know which of the Elderberries is the correct place?
yeah, good question.
I just have to look at both. Huh?
What did you
Yeah.
say the Elderberry name to begin with?
So,
The GRO. It said the mother's maiden name and his name, and then it said the district was Elderberry Union. So I looked Elderberry Union on that.
yeah, and there's 2 options.
There's 2 of
So,
them.
so the other thing would be is if you knew so say they got married or something like that, if you look at the rest of the records, you'll know which area it's closest to.
Well, this is my first encounter with this. name,
Oh,
so I don't know.
yeah, so you might have to look a little bit further to do that. But sometimes you'll be able to get you'll see the grouping of the records or the parishes around it, and that, yeah. And the union just means that it was you're talking really close to when it began. Say 18, that's probably an 1837 or something like that. And so the union, that means that's the same as district. That was basically. So, okay, so what the GRO does is that you can buy a certificate. And this is what you get on the birth certificate.
I got it on that.
Yeah,
Sometimes you'd be really surprised. You think you got it all figured out and then you order the certificate. You're going, whoa, I messed up on that one. And then you'll find either stuff you're looking for or stuff that you'll come to the conclusion. It's not my person.
Really? Okay.
And I had a family once that I pulled off the census. And for all intents and purposes, it looked like there's one cute little family unit. They're all there and slick as a whistle. These are my kids. And I think in one of the other documents, they said that these are my kids. And then I started going through, looking them all up in the grow, and it really bugged me because I had a separation of 3 or 4 years between this set of kids and this set of kids. Then I went into the grow and I eventually found out that one came from one mother, one came from another mother. And I had to separate them, put them with the right mother, and then continue on.
yeah.
And I'll sometimes order a birth certificate just to make sure I'm not, or at least a PDF, make sure I'm not way off base.
Yeah, and you should order them if you think that would. I was kind of concerned about this 16 kids. Usually if there's 16 kids, you'd think there's two marriages that got mixed together. But it looks like it was because they lost, I guess, so many kids. They must have had them pretty close together, almost like miscarriages or something. Yeah. So yeah, it's great if you find a birth certificate. I don't know how, it's up to you if you want to buy them.
I had to have one to settle a dispute. People kept messing with the
Yeah.
change him around, merge him with his father and everything. So it's like, okay, I ordered the birth certificate. Doesn't mean they're gonna look at it, but it's there.
Yeah, I like to look at them but sometimes it's not much more than you get on the baptismal certificate either. So, so I try to go with the family search first, then go with ancestry, then go with find my past. And you should be able to find a GRO if you go through all of those. Not all the time, but pretty close. So then you have the death certificate. We haven't talked too much about the death certificate, but it basically just gives you, they estimate the age by the age at death. So it says, George 1871 or died 1871 or buried in 1871 and says was 27 years old or something. And then you calculate it back. And so you can get a good estimate on whether you think it could be your guy or not. If he was really only 37 and the death certificate that you have or the death GRO says that he was 55, you're probably got the wrong guy, so. And then this is the marriage certificate. Typically, the marriage certificate is based on the parish register. So you really just pretty much have to find it in the parish register.
They'll send you marriage certificates, do they?
Pardon?
Can you order a marriage?
Uh-huh.
certificate?
Yeah, but not with this. I don't think it's not with this group, but they apparently can, because here's a copy. It gives when they're married, their ages, the conditions. But you get a good bands or marriage certificate with, it tells who the father is, and it tells what age they are, and
And I used to order them, but then they don't have them anymore. I can't find them.
oh,
I think you looked?
That one.
you've tried, have you?
Since I've had them, I've seen them exactly like that.
All right.
It's-
Well,
Thought they discontinued that.
did that kind of make sense how to find the kids? And so if you go in and do that, my brother he does a lot of genealogy, and he didn't understand that. And I showed him how to do it one day, and he's been doing he's found a lot of kids now. And they want to get done too, those.
Do you have any suggestions of where to find more information about some that may be missing? I mean, I've gone through back and forth, searching it multiple times, both birth and death, going every 2 years, looking for boys, looking for girls, but I've still got about 3 kids missing from this one family. And they were all born after the registration started, and I don't know, maybe they were just stillborn and they didn't bother to register them, but then she wrote it down in the census. I'm just
Could be either
wondering
or.
where to get more information about what might have happened.
Unless they skipped registering them.
Well, I wonder,
And we could maybe look at that if a minute afterwards and just see if there's,
Did you look at any parish records?
I haven't found it.
No.
And you had to pay money to register a birth.
I think so. Actually, they used to sell the name. You buy the name. And so if somebody, you'll find that a lot of times you'll have the same name in the same family
Yeah.
a couple of years later. And the reason they reuse the name is so that they didn't have to pay for it again. I have a line, the Kirbys, and there's the first kid was Mary Ann Kirby, and then 2 years later they had another Mary Ann Kirby. But I was able to find that there was a death record for.
So I could see that happening if a baby was stillborn early and you didn't want to pay any money for a name, you might not register. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, they generally, yeah. This group that I'm talking about, the 16 people, I found 15. I still haven't found one of them myself, so. But they write it in those census records, so. I guess we have our duty to try to find them. Okay, so we can do case study 2 or call it a day, whatever you want to do.
We still have 15
15 minutes, okay. All right, so here's what did I do? So another way that you can find them besides in the 1911 census or the 1901 is, see, there's Rose was born in 1883, and Percy was born in 1888. And when they didn't have birth control, there's probably something happened in between. So we're we're doing our due diligence and we decided that we need to find out if there's a baby born in between there, right? So we set up our algorithm again. We got Ransom with female, so, and we chose 1885 because it's right smack between them, right? And we're gonna see if there's, and guess what? We found Eva Jesse. And so now we're gonna go ahead and see if she died. So we went in and did here's the GRO death. And we have Ransom in 1885. We go down and here's Eva Jesse, and she didn't live a year. And then, oops. Oh, and then if you look on the 1911, it said there was one person dead, or that, and so that just verifies that, yeah, there was an actual person, and so anyway, so that occasionally works really good. That's pretty slick to do.
Then you add them to. family
Yeah,
search.
you add them into family search and just do go back to you can do it from right here or from. But you see there you have that's all you need for the birth and death. And that one's good to go.
You got our mother's maiden name.
And the good thing about doing this is that we didn't do an endowment for Eva Jesse, because we found out that she did die and was an infant, and saves you some time. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of the presentation.
So, you go up one and then
Oh.
show me Eva Jesse and where you put her in the family search.
We'd have to let's see.
You showed it last slide. Slide.
No,
Oh,
we could look her up because
There.
she's not in here.
Yeah, but you had her on a different slide. Keep going forward.
One, okay. So here she's in the GRO. Here she's in the death index. And here we know what the
On the next one, you had her show. There's it.
oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I did. So she'd been entered in.
And then the source. You put that source by using the source linker.
Mhm. Yeah, we could look. Let's see, let me write it. We can go find it.
Here, all right. You can just go LB 49.
Okay, yeah, just. All right, I'm coming out of the.
Okay.
Alt tab.
Have one more.
And which one?
Hit the tab one more time. There, now release everything.
Oh, okay. It's because I wasn't. All right. What's that number?
LB 49.
LB
Yeah, this the L.
49. Oops.
LB 49. 28N as in November.
28N. Yeah. So then we look at two sources. Oh, and my brother put them in.
So they're both the same,
That's the one I taught how to do it.
but they're both the same.
One's a death and one's a birth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can look at her details and there it is.
Okay, great.
Anyway,
That's really a good trick.